guys, welcome back. So I found these sheets at a Michaels, which is like a craft store that we have here in America. And they look like paper, but it's actually a very thin plastic, and I think each one of these sheets, which is quite big, was like $2. And I saw these and I thought they would make good reflectors. If I had painted the base of my pad white, then I really wouldn't need to do this, but because it's black, any light that I shine in there is really not going to reflect around, and you're really going to see the light from the LED as the brightest spot. So my idea is to just cut this plastic sheet, stick it in the panel, and then any lights that are shown in here are going to bounce off of this and kind of diffuse a little bit more than if it was just black and kind of just the light was getting absorbed. So that's the plan anyways. So I'm just cutting these to size. I'm not planning on having any glue or anything holding them down. They just kind of like snap in here under those spacers. And the only thing I have to do is just mark a hole and punch it for the wires to come through for the sensors. I figured it would be a good time to countersink the center panel that Ryan Stetson sent me. I've done this process a few times before, and every time I do it I think I get a little bit better. So I kind of wish I didn't do my Dedicab first. But the gist of this is, for anyone who's new to countersinking, you buy a countersinking bit at a certain angle, you get the screws at the same angle. So I think this is a 90-degree countersinking bit. You should do this with the panel on top of the frame underneath. You really want to countersink through the center panel and a little bit into the frame underneath. But you really have to be careful because there's only so many threads in that frame. But if you go too far, then you have the chance of eating through the remaining threads that you need. Then you won't be able to screw into anything. If that happens, it's never happened to me, but if it does happen, you can put a nut underneath the frame and glue it there, or weld it there if you have one. Countersinking isn't really about the speed, so I would keep the drill relatively slow. Apply constant pressure, and every once in a while just take the drill and kind of rock it back and forth, and that seems to make it so it's a lot smoother. You just go nice and slow and check your progress frequently, and as soon as it's as flat as you want it, you just stop and you're done. Oh, and be very careful about the little shavings that come off of here, because they will embed into your fingertips and they are super annoying to get out.
Well, we've got a great thing here.
So now I'm making the Velcro strips that will actually hold the sensors in place. The way I did this last time is the same way I'm doing it this time, which is I'm going to have a Velcro, a sensor that is going to be attached with Velcro. So these topmost pieces here are going to have the hard side, the non-fuzzy side of the Velcro. And my thinking behind that is that, the fuzzy side kind of like loosens up over time if you like take things on and off. And the sensor is the consumable part, so I figured that should be the piece with the fuzzy side. So really all I'm doing here is just taking that other side and cutting a strip that matches this topmost portion. I need to cut little squares where I can access the screws through it. I would obviously cut a circle here if I could, but because I'm doing this by hand, it's kind of easier just to make a diamond or a square. After that, I just have to cut the corners off and then just like, slice a little bit of that edge just to make it fit. And then I just carefully apply it to the piece, and if I do it straight, everything lines up, and I'm good to go. So this leaves me with a perfectly flat surface that I can mount any Velcro object to in the future. I just have a few photos of this part. I'm just doing the final layout of the breadboard, so getting all the wires for all 9 sensors set up. Again, in the first part of this pad, I'm just going to use 4, but I want to just make sure the wiring's all set for now. So I got my bank of resistors set up, I got ground run, and at this point I was thinking about how do I want to make it easy to plug in each sensor in the future. My original idea was just to plug them directly into the breadboard, but this is going to be upside down, and there's going to be a lot of vibration, so I was worried that a wire might come out. I gave it some thought, and I remember I had these terminal blocks, so I started to think about if I could have the sensors wired into these terminal blocks. What I ended up doing was cutting these metal bridging things that they sent me, and I cut every other connector. That means that I can have 5 volts going into one of those bridging contacts, and then every other channel on this terminal block is going to get 5 volts. That means that the channel to the left of it that isn't used can be plugged directly into the analog read on the Teensy. So that's kind of what you see here with the blue wires here. Each one of those is an analog read pin that goes to every other channel in the terminal block. And then those 2 red wires are going to 5 volts, and they go into one of the bridged contacts there that goes to every other pin. So it's a little complicated, but what that means is that when I have a sensor that comes from a panel, I'm just going to plug in one wire to like number 1 here, for example, on the terminal block, and then the other wire goes to number 2. And then for sensor number 2, one wire goes to 3, and then the other wire goes to 4. And I just kind of keep going along there, and it makes it a lot easier when I install the sensors later. So after that, I just put it on the bottom of the pad, screwed it on there, and I think I'm kind of good to go for the brains of this. Now, I'll just mention that I know there are better ways of doing this. I don't exactly know the details of what those are, but there's proto boards and making your own PCB and other types of connectors and stuff. This is the solution that I came up with based on what I had laying around, and I think it works okay for my use case. I guess we'll see how it turns out in the end. But yeah, I know there are other options out there, and if you end up doing one, I'd love to hear about it. So I'm sorry that this update is a little lame, but at this point I'm really stuck. I ordered some stuff from AliExpress like 6 weeks ago, and it's taking so long to get here. It seems like it cleared customs and it's in the United States, but it's like stuck in some Pitney Bowes warehouse in New Jersey. Yeah, I mean, I need all that stuff before I can continue, so I'm in a kind of a holding pattern right now. Hopefully in another few weeks I'll get that stuff and I can continue on. Thanks for watching, guys.